Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration and juice. It is April the 26th, 2023, and today the topic is myths and legends. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I hope that you all had a great day yesterday. Mine was just fine. Yes, mine was fine indeed. You guys kind of saw how mine got started. My little guy came in here and crashed the party again. So I did lock the door this morning, so there should be no interruptions. But then again, your girl is recording on time or early because it's like 5:50 something right now. And I try to have this thing out by 6, but still, the fact that I'm recording before 6 is something. So everybody's still kind of sleep around here and all that type of stuff. But yeah, it's God be the glory, man. What happened yesterday? So real quick, some significant things happened yesterday. But then some things, did not go as planned. So long story short, I told y'all that I was supposed to record an episode of GSL. That got rescheduled. I spent some time with my little guy. He's been really into Little Bear these days, which I'm glad about because I feel like Little Bear is a good, wholesome cartoon or whatever from back in the day. And so we watched some episodes of that or whatever after I did the juice. And yeah, I ended up having some significant conversations yesterday. I feel led to tell y'all this much. Again, I might not go too deep into it, but y'all know that I've been going back and forth about this certain opportunity. And I've been like, Lord, do you want me to do it or not? Like, I'm not sure. I'm not. It's like, on one hand, I feel good about it. On the other hand, I don't. On one day, I feel good about it. On the other hand, I don't. Well, I think I finally come to a conclusion and resolution. I've decided to decline the opportunity. In the capacity that it was presented to me. Now, if we can collaborate on something else or in some other capacity, then by all means, let's do it, things like that. But when it comes to the original offer, I have respectfully declined. I believe that the other party understands and everything like that. On one hand, there's like a little slight part of me that's like, oh, did I do something wrong? Like, am I missing out? But it's only like a small part of me. Like, honestly, I feel at peace with the decision. I would rather continue to walk by faith and trust the Lord to provide versus get into a situation where I'm being stressed and pulled in multiple directions and out of the will of God, honestly. So yeah, that's where I'm at with that particular thing. Again, I won't address like exactly what it is. That way I can, if again we do something, it won't be like, oh, ain't that thing, but yeah, but just to let y'all know, those of y'all that listen to me every day or whatnot and seeing the struggle, right? Seeing the whole back and forth of me being like, well, I don't know. Just wanted to kind of clear that up of where it is at the moment. So that's that. I'm happy about it. I think that's good. That was something that happened yesterday, so I feel like that was significant to share. I also doubled down on the thing I told y'all about Monday. Again, I'm still holding on. Only a few people know, and y'all will know soon, or whatever. But I doubled down on the other blessing that the Lord has, or door, an opportunity that the Lord has opened and whatnot. And by me doing that, I will probably be able to share with y'all a little bit sooner than original. So be on the lookout. Be on the lookout for more announcements from me and whatnot. But anywho, what else happened yesterday? Oh, again, like I said, had so many significant conversations. And okay, you don't know how I was saying, I'm asking the Lord for confirmation about that opportunity I was just talking about. I feel like I got it in several ways yesterday as well. I feel like my son said something that stood out to me. I guess I'll share it. So basically, I had asked him randomly, something about the opportunity. I was like, you think mommy, blah, 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 blah. And he had said something. I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he just said, at some point, he said the word airbag. And I'm like, huh? Like random kid. But see, things like that ain't so random to me anymore because, you know what I'm saying, I'm paying attention to things in this season. So I went to dreammoves.com and looked up airbag, and what was revealed in that was another confirmation to me. I just was like, interesting. It pretty much, if y'all don't go and look at it for yourself, if I was to summarize what it said, it was kind of like something along the lines that made me feel like the opportunity would get in the way again of the path that God's has me on. When I read the description of what that meant, again, I take it with a grain of salt. I know that, like this morning, for example, I did wake up from a dream and I looked up some of the things on Dream Moves that I could find, and they weren't resonating with me. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, yes, Dream Moves. Yes, go by everything it says. But in that moment yesterday, when I looked up airbag, those words resonated with me and was confirmation to me. Also, I spoke to one of my cousins yesterday. We were talking about some things going on in the family, as well as just some, I guess, moves that are being made and whatnot. And I felt like the conversation I had with him was also confirmation as well. So shout out to my cousin Will. I appreciate the advice and things like that. And I'm thanking the Lord for confirmations, man. I am. So anywho, I think that's the major stuff that happened yesterday. I'm sitting here trying to think, was there anything else that I needed to share? I can't think in this moment. So I guess we can go ahead and get into this conversation about myths and legends. Okay. So, okay. There's a lot of things that stood out to me this morning. I think the time that I woke up was significant. The things I listened to the prayer meditation. Also, I had moments where I was speaking into my friend, like I spoke into my friend's situation that she shared, as well as my sister and whatnot. And I'm sharing those things without getting too deep into their particular situations. I'll just say that I'm sharing a piece of it because I felt like once this idea of myths and legends came into my heart and mind, and I started to, basically I ended up reading this this article that was at it was at gotquestions.org, centered around myths. It just blew my mind how I had just spoken to my friend and sister's life about one part of something that was mentioned in there, and the fact that was in there as confirmation to the word of God and whatnot. I was like, Lord, wow, this feels like overall confirmation. Plus something else that I share with you guys all the time was also confirmation in that particular article. So if y'all want to go read the article, it's called How Do I Know the Bible Is Not Just Mythology? So let me tell y'all what got me to mythology this morning. Long story short, basically, I think it was after I had talked to my friend and sent my sister the message or whatever the case is, I listened to the prayer meditation, and then somehow I just got back on social media for a little bit. And I saw someone had shared a image of a, it looked like not a playbill, but and not a billboard, but like a theater marquee that said Orpheum. And again, I'm an actress, you know what I'm saying, things like that. So I guess things like that stand out to me, which isn't not unnormal or uncommon, but at the same time, it really stood out for some reason this morning. I just liked it, but then at some point I felt led to look up the word Orpheum. Okay, so I'm sure y'all have seen, there's probably a lot of theaters that's named Orpheum or whatever. So pretty much when I looked up the word Orpheum, that said that, it was like, oh, it's a popular name for theaters, right? But then I was like, well, let me look deeper. Like, what does the name mean? And it pretty much led me to Orpheus. And then I'm like, well, what does Orpheus mean? And when I went deeper, on one hand, it just kind of kept talking about, we ended up kind of like talking about music. But then ultimately, when I just kept going deeper, like, what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning? I came across a couple of things. One, I came across beautiful voice. And then the second thing I came across was the darkness of it looks like I wrote light. Here we go. I know it. But the darkness of life, y'all can go confirm, y'all can go Google for yourself or whatnot, and y'all, I'm sure y'all can find the same things I found. But yeah, and so that is what ultimately made me start to think about mythology, as well as, why should I look at the Bible, like, and how people look at the Bible as if it's mythology, right? They look at it as if it's myths, not real, just stories, whatever the case is. And so after that, that's when I ended up finding the article that I read in its entirety. And I was like, again, just getting confirmation after confirmation as I was reading it. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. So they lay it out all beautifully why you should not look at the Bible as mythology. So I won't even get into all of that. Honestly, you guys can read that on your own. It's in the Go Deeper section and everything like that. Plenty of good stuff though. Plenty of good stuff. But I just don't feel led to get into all of that or that aspect of the conversation. I guess I just want to talk about myths and legends in general, and then I guess biblically how we should look at such things. Okay, so when I look up the definition of myth, it says a traditional story. Actually, the definition went on and on and on, but then I felt led to write down the second definition, and it says a widely held but false belief or idea. So yeah, that stood out to me this morning, more so than the first definition. So that's why I didn't even write it completely. When I looked up the definition of myth. So then I looked up the definition of legend, and it says a traditional story, sometimes popularly regarded as historical, but unauthenticated. So, yeah, I mean, I know that we know plenty of stories like this, right? Obviously the Greek mythology. I don't know if there's Roman mythology with perhaps, what I'm saying? What they call like folklore and all these type of things, fairy tales, things like that. I mean, there's plenty of it. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of examples of myths, right, and legends. But again, it's from my understanding and in my belief, I don't feel like it's wise to look at the Bible as if it's that. Again, that article that I shared earlier breaks everything down in regards to that and stuff like that. But in my humble opinion, I think it's better to look at the Bible as a historical document. And the thing is, when I was getting these verses, as well as when I was just thinking about all this morning, I guess I just was reminded of like my personal accounts of things that's happened in my life, right? That's one reason I started to keep diaries when I was younger, things of that nature, to keep up with what was going on. So imagine years from now, maybe my son or his children or children, right? Look back on the things that I've written, like my book or anything like that, and be like, oh, this is a myth. This wasn't real. Like, that's what I feel like is happening when it comes to the Bible. There's plenty of historical accounts, there's plenty of eyewitness testimony, things of that nature. And we're looking at it as if it's fiction, right? We're looking at it as like, oh, that's not real. But the thing is, one of the things that the article says, which I guess I put out here to anybody that may be listening to the sound of my voice, is that it's not up to me as the person that documented the thing to prove the thing. At the end of the day, it's up to you to prove that it didn't happen. If you don't want to believe my firsthand testimony, I mean, there is still power in our testimonies. And at the end of the day, I think that's one of the things, probably the one of the most powerful tools that we have as believers, that because nobody can take away from what the Lord has done with you, for you, and through you. And because you know what has happened in your life, and you live your life, and nobody else can sit here and tell you that God didn't change your life, or that God didn't lead you to do this or that, or whatever the case is, because you know the process, you know your story, and everything like that. And then obviously, it's good to have 2 or 3 witnesses, so for example, I guess me and my story, I guess the witnesses would be, for example, my family or my friends or my husband or my child or whatever the case is. So as I document different things in life, there are things to confirm those things. And, and when it comes to the Bible, there's plenty of things that confirm the things that the Bible have to say. Again, historical things, they are always finding artifacts and things that confirm, places and people and all these different type of things. And even more writings and whatnot to confirm. And so, again, you have to do the deep dive on your own. Each and every one of us have to do our own due diligence with the Word of God. And that's why I encourage anybody to go on this journey that I'm on. Hey, again, I believe that there's something to taking time every day to get into the Bible and, allow God to lead you and guide you and show you what he wants you to know. But I mean, yes, the least you could do is open it up for yourself and allow it to transform your life, because that's another thing that cannot be taken away, the transformation of the lives. Again, the Bible and Jesus himself was a very controversial, life-changing, what's the other word here? Obviously his life was significant and again, just overall, it's something beyond life-changing. It's world-changing. Again, because the gospels still stand the test of time. So it's just something to think about. Again, go deeper by all means. If you don't listen to anything else or read anything else, even if you don't crack open the Bible, go to godquestions.org and check out that article, because I believe it really, really breaks things down in a beautiful way where anybody should be able to understand. And hopefully it will encourage you and inspire you to look at the Word of God a little differently. So let's get into some verses, right? So let's see, 2 Peter 1:16, it says, "For we did not follow cleverly devised myths when we made known to you the power and coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, but we were eyewitnesses of his majesty." So again, an eyewitness testimony, there's still power in that, because at the end of the day, people still use that to judge things in these days and times. If there's an eyewitness to a crime or eyewitness to anything that's being presented in a court, those people, they have to swear to be telling the truth, and those things are held in high regard, the eyewitness testimony. But again, for some reason, we want to take an eyewitness testimony and be like, oh, that's fiction, that's fake, that's false, that's not true. But then there's several eyewitness testimonies, and then there's multiple, even unbelievers. My understanding, there's unbelievers that documented Jesus. So the thing is, if Jesus was the man that walked the earth, which that has proven to be true, then that means everything else he said and did was accurate as well. And if everything he said and did was accurate, that means he was God, because no other man did or said or any of those things. Or and lived and died, or and things of that nature, and rose again. And ultimately, that's another main thing when it comes to Jesus versus anybody else. Just something to think about. So then let's see. I ended up going deeper and looking into the context of 2 Peter, and I ended up putting 2 Peter 1 in its entirety in the Go Deeper section. So by all means, go peruse it and let it marinate on your heart, souls, and minds. So then 2 Timothy 4:7, it says, "Have nothing to do with irreverent, silly myths. Rather, train yourself for godliness." So, again, I can enjoy a good old fiction book and things like that. But here's another thing that stood out to me. I know I didn't just finish my statement, but I guess if I was to finish it, I would just say, like, to entertain, fiction as if it's true, and then look at what is the truth of the Bible as if it's fiction. That's one of the issues of life. It's again one of those things of good, calling good evil and evil good. It's everything is like that in life. It just do the opposite. So if the Bible is true, then that means I need to believe anything else is true outside of the Bible. Like that's the way we operate as humans for some reason. But anywho, so again, let's go back to this idea of having nothing to do with silly myths. Like, here's something that came across my heart and mind this morning as I was reflecting on all this. People don't take issue with any other quote unquote myth, right? If you want to believe that the Bible is myth or whatever the case is, you know, I feel like people don't take issue with any other document. You know, any other religion. I feel like maybe this, correct me if I'm wrong, X, Y, and Z. You know, obviously I'm sure there's people that take issues with other religions and stuff. But what I'm saying is you don't see the mockery that you see with Christianity when it comes to other religions. You don't see the bashing of it. You don't see like the global, it's like around the world, people really take issue with the Bible. And you have to ask yourself why. At the end of the day, again, the article refers to this in regards to pointing out that, again, the Bible is asking you to change. And ultimately, I think that's what the overall issue of humanity is when it comes to the Bible saying any of these things. We don't want to believe that it's true because we don't want to change. We want to do what we want to do. And the Bible is holding us to another standard. So at the end of the day, like, that's what I feel like the overall issue really is. But instead of saying that, people say it's not true because that's what they want to believe. When at the end of the day, they are gambling their lives away to believe that. You know, at the end of the day, again, I said it before. My mom has said this. Even the article said it, which was another thing that was confirmation this morning to me, is that, again, this is like a 50-50 chance that you're playing with your life. Again, Russian roulette, as they say. Like, you're taking a 50-50 chance on whether the Bible is true or not. And if you want to believe that it's not, you got the free will to do so, because that's what God gave us, the free will, right? But at the end of the day, if you get to the end of your life and you're gone from earth and you're there and you're realizing that, you end up wherever you end up and realize that the Bible was true and you didn't live your life accordingly, then it just doesn't look good. And honestly, like, according to the accounts that's in the Bible and things of that nature, it just does not look good for you. And those that have gone before us, they know. And now at the end of the day, again, we could take the same scenario and let's say we all crazy, those that are believers, we're going through all our individual journeys and testimonies, X, Y, and Z, and we go to end our life and find out that it's not true, whatever the case is. If we want to claim that scenario, then there's still nothing lost or nothing gained when it comes to that, but the opposite is like everything is lost and nothing is gained. So it's just, you can do that. You can play that game and you can, take that risk. Because again, God has given us all free will to make the choice. But there's just a lot of things that doesn't seem to be wise to make that type of choice. But hey, I mean, by all means, you have your free will. Do with it what you will. So there's a verse that I wrote down that I'm intended to share at this point, but I'm going to wait and share it later because it ended up being the Bible verse of the day. So I don't know if it's like double confirmation what it has to say, but I'll come back to it. But here's another verse that I want to share before I guess we get into that. It's 2 Timothy 3:16. It says, all scripture is breathed out by God and profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, and for training in righteousness. It's an ongoing verse I shared here on the Juice. I feel like I might have shared it the other day. I don't even remember. But basically, the Bible is not a myth. The Bible is not a legend or fairy tale or anything like that. We need to look at the Bible as a historical truth document. It has a variety of prophecies and things like that have already been fulfilled. And I mean, that's ultimately the juice this morning. I mean, I feel like in some ways it's a continuation of the conversation from yesterday. But hey, there it is. I hope that you guys are encouraged and inspired to go deeper and look into it. But yeah, that's the juice. And now the Bible verse of today is John 1:14. And yes, this is the verse that I had already written down. So by all means, take this as a double confirmation for you. and something for you to really, really think about this morning. The fact that it was acknowledged twice. Okay. It says, and the word became flesh and dwelt among us, and we have seen his glory. Glory as the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth. Friends, I hope you all enjoy this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Bye-bye. There you go. Facebook, YouTube, Rumble. Anybody listening to the sound of my voice, I hope that you all are encouraged and inspired. Thank you so much for listening, watching, subscribing, sharing, all those wonderful things. I got joy down in my heart. Like I said, I'm at peace with the decision that I've made. You know, we're going to see what the Lord do and everything like that. I'm praying again for my friend and my sister. I'm looking forward to hearing the great reports from these ladies as well. I just hope and pray that the abundance in 2023 that the Lord has bestowed upon me, and the joy and the peace and all those different things flow out to them and flow out to you and anybody listening to the sound of my voice and everything like that. Because yeah. I can't complain, man. I cannot complain. Like I was sharing with my friend, like, you know, if I do a comparison, right, of other people or myself to other people, then, you know, maybe these things I'm saying don't make sense, right? It's like, oh, you know, well, you're not doing this and you're not doing that. You're not making this and you're not making that. But I'm thankful because at the end of the day, I'm able to do the things I need to do. I'm able to do some things I want to do. And I've been able to invest in my own ideas and passions and visions and things like that. And so I'm blessed overall. Like at the end of the day, like, you know, I believe that I am truly embarking on something special. And I've already seen the Lord working again with me, for me, and through me. And I'm excited to see what else he's going to do. And, you know, I know that I can take on more and things like that. But at the end of the day, I have to be wise about what I take on. And like I said before, I just really want to stay on this path. I don't want to sway from the things that God is doing in my life right now. And the peace and all that. Like I don't want to uproot none of that. Honestly, I'm thankful. And I want to expand that, if nothing else. So that's it, y'all. I mean, I won't sit here and be long your time. You already listened to me for about almost 30 minutes or whatnot. So thank you for, you know, listening again, watching, subscribing, all those things. And I hope y'all have a wonderful day. Bye.